I thought somebody was banging on my window.
But it turns out what Elizabeth Toops was hearing was a shootout down the street. And the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office thinks this may have stemmed from last month when the alleged gunman's wife filed for divorce.
Their marriage began to deteriorate, nothing to the level of requiring an arrest or threats of anybody's life or threats to commit suicide.
The sheriff says 30-year-old William Canada was married for 2 years, but his wife recently went to live with her parents in Luling. Investigators say last night St. Bernard deputies notified the family after Canada acted in a bizarre manner with a friend in Chalmette.
His wife's father decided, out of an abundance of caution, that he would spend the night in the living room of the house. So he stayed in the living room of the house and armed himself with a weapon.
The sheriff says around 4 o'clock Tuesday morning, Canada's father-in-law heard rustling outside. Investigators say the father-in-law looked out the window. Then seconds later, the sheriff says, Canada opened fire.
As of now, we estimate that he fired about 40 rounds from a single 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
The sheriff says the father-in-law returned shots, firing about 4 times before he was hit in the chest. Officials say Canada left the scene in his white Chevy Silverado, but was spotted by St. Charles deputies responding to the area. He was taken into custody and charged with 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Deputies say they also found cans of accelerant and a makeshift Molotov cocktail in Canada's vehicle. That led investigators to get a warrant to search the suspect's home.
And we wanted to make sure that residents are notified that they may see some possible bomb processing equipment. We do not have any specific knowledge or indication that there may be any kind of device or bomb there. We're doing this out of an abundance of caution because we have received information that he may have had some type of bomb training.
Canada is being held in St. Charles Parish Correctional Facility. Reporting in Luling, Kelsey Davis, WDSU News.